Folks, let's just get straight to the point. Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign launch last night was an absolute disaster. It was terrible. Clearly, having the campaign launch take place on Twitter was a terrible idea. I mean, seriously, I don't even know where to begin. The first 15 minutes of the announcement was filled with glitches. There was all kinds of freezes. The app kept crashing. At some points, I kept getting kicked out. Also, at other points, I wasn't even able to join. Then at some points, the sound wasn't working. And then after like 30 minutes of technical difficulties, they finally relaunched the space under David Sachs with the All In Podcast Twitter space. And it finally worked and we could actually hear without the glitches. The event was such a mess that even Fox News went after DeSantis for it with this headline on the website that read, "Much hyped presidential announcement, a disaster for Twitter due to tech issues." Now, obviously, Fox is probably a little salty that DeSantis chose to do his campaign launch with Twitter and Elon Musk instead of them first. And just for clarity, yes, I know that DeSantis went on Fox News later on, right after the Twitter space, but I'm sure Fox would have rather had the priority of being the first people to get the campaign launch announcement because it was so bad. It was crazy. Now, I'm just going to be completely honest here, okay? After watching or listening, I guess, after listening to that Ron DeSantis campaign launch last night, there's no way in hell that Ron DeSantis is beating Trump, in my opinion. He stinks. I listened to the entire Twitter space, and when I heard him speak and answer questions, he sounded robotic. He was uncharismatic. At some points, he was just rambling about nothing. It just wasn't exciting. The man is just boring. Folks, this guy's not beating Trump, and the polling data significantly backs up what I'm saying here. According to a recent Fox News poll, Trump holds a 33-point lead over DeSantis, polling at 53%, while DeSantis is only polling at 20%. Folks, this guy is not beating Trump. I'm sorry. And I also saw that Trump lashed out on him on his Truth Social and basically said, "Dude, you suck. You're not going to beat me." I forgot what he said, but, Trump obviously lashed out and had something to say. Now, me personally, I thought that Trump might have actually gotten on Twitter in order to kind of take the steam away from Ron DeSantis, because let's be honest, even though Ron DeSantis was launching, had Trump returned to Twitter, that would have been a big headline over Ron DeSantis announcing. I thought Trump was going to do that. But the fact that Trump didn't do that tells me that Trump really doesn't see this guy as a threat. And he's right. Look at the polling data. The polling data shows it. Trump is just a better candidate. I'm just telling you guys what it is. Now, you guys might have your opinions in terms of the issues. You might think DeSantis is better in terms of the issues, in terms of governance, and I have no issue with that. But I'm just telling you, in terms of media, in terms of the actual media strategy, Trump is way better. And when I heard DeSantis last night, I heard everything I needed to hear. There were a lot of issues and things he talked about that I didn't agree with. And, the other thing that's really going to hurt DeSantis, not only the fact that every newspaper on planet Earth is saying something bad about that Twitter space and how failed it was. Because remember, folks, you only get one campaign announcement. You can't redo it. You only get one. And his already turned out to be an absolute disaster and failure. And, the other issue that I had with it, too, is when I listened to it, there was too much there was too much meat riding of Elon Musk. Okay, I'm just going to frankly say it. If you guys listen to the space, you know what I'm talking about. This is supposed to be Ron DeSantis' campaign launch, and instead it turned into all these little frat boys. "Oh, Elon Musk, you're so cool. I love you." Dude, I don't give a crap about Elon Musk. Stop saying that you own a Tesla. Stop saying that, "Oh, I love you, Elon. I'm your biggest fan," and it's anonymous. Shut up. Who cares? This is Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign launch. There was way too much of that, which definitely ruined it. And it really felt like more of a Twitter promo because all throughout the entire thing, all you heard was Elon Musk and David Sachs repeatedly say, "This is the most streamed event ever. We've never had this many people in attendance. There are millions of people here." Folks, there was 700,000 people there, and they couldn't even have a proper launch. And then when they moved it over to David Sachs' Twitter space, there were only 300,000 people in attendance at one time. This wasn't the greatest social media online campaign ever. There weren't millions and millions of people there. That's just a lie. There were 700,000 at first, which the thing crashed and the audio was terrible. And then there was 300,000 people. So that's just a lie. But honestly, folks, everything bad that could have happened last night happened. Everything was bad. You could clearly tell that this guy was reading off a sheet. which completely defeats the purpose of a Twitter space, in my opinion. It's like, dude, just speak on how you actually feel. Don't read off your crappy campaign sheet. Listen, he was better off holding a huge rally in Florida for his campaign launch, having Fox News film it, and having all his friends and family and all the supporters there. That would have been way better than that garbage Twitter space launch. It just didn't work. And then when you listen to it, don't get me wrong, I actually like Twitter spaces. Twitter spaces are really good for hearing debates, getting information, but they really don't work for this type of event. And it's unfortunate that his campaign staff, couldn't see that this clearly wasn't a good idea. Now, I'll be honest. I used to work on campaigns. I used to be a campaign manager. And when I first heard of this, I actually thought that it wasn't that bad of an idea. I really did. But I guess now we know. I guess now we know. Don't ever do that again. That was bad. But I'll say this too. I also don't know Ron DeSantis the way his campaign staff knows him. But based on what I know him as to be now, if I were his campaign staff, I actually wouldn't have him do the Twitter space, because I now know that he's one of those types of people where, he's just not, he's not charismatic at all. So that's already bad. He doesn't have it where he could just speak off the cuff and just command attention to get people to listen to him and communicate the points in a way where we're able to get the message out. He's a script guy. There were political candidates that I used to work with where there were script people. They couldn't talk off the top of their head. They just couldn't. They needed a script at all times. So you work around their skill sets. That's kind of how this thing goes. So had I known the type of person that Ron DeSantis was, like I do now, had I been his campaign manager, I would have been like, there's no way in hell you're doing this Twitter space. Even if there's no technical difficulties or glitches, it's still going to go bad for you because you're a script guy. It just doesn't work for the Twitter space. We're doing a regular old teleprompter scripted campaign rally, bunch of people there in attendance. We're doing that, and you're going to be on Fox News. That would have been way better than that trash Twitter space. They asked him about a bunch of different questions, and he just said a bunch of things that I just didn't agree with. He talked about like getting rid of the FBI and the CIA. He just talked about wokeness and corruption and you know what else is really going to hurt DeSantis too? Another reason why I really don't think he's going to beat Trump. He is getting destroyed for everything that's happening in his state. Now, I know he's running with this whole idea that, oh, Florida's safe. I've done everything I can to make sure Florida's safe. And congratulations, you got one issue down. But what about abortion, which is going to be a huge issue in a presidential election? And what about the economy and, different things like that? There's a bunch of different issues. And I don't know. When I just look at some of the things that are going on, there's this NAACP advisory against them where they're basically telling all black people to stay away from Florida. There is the fight that he's got going on with Disney, which a lot of people consider to be childish. You got that going on. He signed a bunch of different laws in Florida that a lot of people don't agree with, and it's just drawing a lot of controversy towards him. And the way you got to look at this election and Ron DeSantis' candidacy is one very simple thing, because he's already being painted in terms of the Democratic political messaging, which is going to definitely hit home with some of those like swing voters who swing Democrat, swing Republican, in my opinion, at least, as another extremist. That's what they're going to paint him as. So as somebody who's already being painted as an extremist, well, he's only got one option. He's going to have to take some of those votes away from Trump and towards him. Will he be able to do that? I don't think so. Now, I will admit this. He's got a lot of Republican mega donors on his side. He's got a lot of former Trump people on his side. A lot of people who formerly supported Trump have left Trump, and they are now supporting him. However, it doesn't matter because, as I keep telling you guys, Trump has a cult. Here's the difference. DeSantis may have some of the mega donor Republican billionaires. DeSantis may have, Fox News really supporting him or other outlets or whatever. DeSantis may have former Trump administration officials who are now supporting his campaign, somebody like a Kayleigh McEnany and people like that. He may have all of that. But you know what Trump does? You know what DeSantis doesn't have? He doesn't have the people. Okay? Regardless of what you got to say, Trump will have no problem raising money. I don't care how many mega donors go to DeSantis. Trump has a cult of people who will donate half their paycheck every 2 weeks to that man's campaign, and they're going to come out and rally, and they're going to knock doors for him, and they're going to vote. There's no way in hell DeSantis is beating Trump. I'm sorry, guys. There's no way. The polling data clearly shows it. And I know polling's not everything, but when you're seeing the polling show such a massive blowout, 33-point lead, that should tell you everything you need to know, okay? Now, I don't know who else is going to jump into the race. I think Pence might jump into the race too. Who knows? That'll remain to be seen, but I don't think DeSantis is going to win. That's the bottom line of what I want to say here. It's not just the fact of that terrible campaign launch. I just don't think the dude has it. That's just my honest opinion. I don't think he's got what it takes. So Yeah, that's just my opinion. I think Trump is the undisputed favorite. I think Donald J. Trump will be the Republican nominee. And I don't think DeSantis is going to do very well. And I think DeSantis kind of knows it because if you remember, guys, DeSantis waited longer than everybody else. There were a bunch of people who already jumped into the race way early and said that they were running for president, including Donald Trump. Why did DeSantis jump into the race so late? Well, because DeSantis was waiting on the Florida legislature to change the laws so that way he could remain governor while running for president, because traditionally you can't do that. If you're going to run for president, then you're going to run for president. You can't do both. Well, now they've made it so that he could basically do both. So he could run for president, remain governor. If he loses, he'll still be governor. That whole thing. And that turned out to be a big mistake, too. He should have been launched if this is something that he really wanted to do. But I know why he did it, because he knows. He knows that the best thing the best outcome for him is to remain Florida governor. It's nice that he's running. He hopes he wins. But deep down, I think even he knows that he's probably not going to beat Trump. So that's just how it goes. So anyway, those are my thoughts. The thing was an absolute disaster. No way in hell I would ever vote for that guy. I don't like him at all. I say I might like Trump better. I mean, God, that guy sucks. So those are my thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.